Was that a good idea? I don't know. I guess I won't find out until I'm editing. Hey guys, and welcome back. Recently I was chatting with someone who has the problem of hyper flexible shoulders, which I felt like was a great topic to make a video about to try and help more people out there that might have the same problem. So hopefully through this video I'm going to give you guys some great tips for some things to think about, to wrap your head around, some exercises to try, to hopefully get you to get a bit more control over your hyperflexible shoulders. So the people that have naturally flexible shoulders tend to have either grown up doing dancing or gymnastics and have been in like a very high elite environment where they've ended up gaining quite flexible shoulders, or you might naturally have flexible shoulders, or you might have gotten an injury and so one of your shoulders or both of your shoulders might be a little bit more flexible and unstable than they usually are. And on that note, if you have had an injury, make sure you see a physio. Like, I'm not a professional, go see an actual one. This is just advice, so disclaimer. Anyway, if you are either of those things or you have been injured, I've got some great exercises for you guys to try today. So when you are naturally flexible, it tends to mean that you have a lack of control over that range of motion, which means you need to strengthen the muscles that do the range of motion. So one of the things that I want to be the biggest takeaway from this video is that flexibility and strength go hand in hand. So as I said before, it's really important to have control over that range of motion, which means you have control and strength even though you are doing a flexible move. Great choice of words, and I know. Shouldn't have had that nap. Pooh! Also, another really super important note and takeaway from this video is that if you are naturally flexible, it is super important that you get on top of that and that you start to strengthen those areas, because otherwise you're going to leave yourself in a position where you have a higher chance of getting injured. And particularly with shoulders and handstands, that is so important because you have most of your body weight going through your shoulders in a handstand. So first up, I'm going to try and describe something that I want you to really think about. I'm going to try and describe it in a bunch of different ways and give you a couple exercises to try and help you to really remember to do that. And this is mostly centered around becoming aware of the movement that we should be doing in a handstand that counteracts when our shoulders open up way too much. And this is essentially making sure that we are keeping our shoulders closed, or some people describe it as keeping our shoulders externally rotated. So thinking about curling your shoulder blades in towards you rather than letting them, oh, you can't see with this jumper on. So instead of letting our shoulder blades flare out, thinking about bringing and curling them inwards. So even with straight arms, my shoulders are open and outwards. The best way I can think about this is if I have my hands up, it's out, and then when they're in, I'm thinking about turning the heel of my palms inwards. And I find that motion really helps for me to think about rounding through here. Think about curling them in. Obviously you want to keep your hands neutral when you are doing a handstand, but I find that thinking about the heel of your palms turning out and then bringing them in really helps to think about curling those shoulder blades in. Another way to think about this or to work this out for yourself is the internal and external rotation of the arms. So to work this out, because I used to have this wrong and it was so embarrassing because I thought I was right, and for so long people would be like, Ellen, you know it's the other way around. I was like, what? No. but actually internal rotation is this way and external rotation is that way. So it's internal and external. So when we're rotating our arms externally, they're going out that way. If we bring our arms up here, that's external. If we bring our arms all the way above our head, that's external, which means we're thinking about rotating our shoulders externally. Even though I do, and I think this is where I actually messed this up for myself ages back whenever I learnt my information wrong, was that I always thought about shoulder blades curling inwards, and that actually does not translate to internally rotating the shoulders. So it's actually externally rotating the shoulders in is another way of thinking about that shoulder movement. So one of the reasons why thinking about this shoulder position is super important for people with flexible shoulders is because thinking about that is literally the opposite thing to opening up your shoulders. You always really want to think about having just slightly closed shoulders, as that'll help you to maintain that handstand and not fall over or fall out of your handstand. So to start off with the different ways that I've described thinking about closing your shoulders, I have 3 exercises that are hopefully going to help you with this and or strengthen that external rotation. So the next one that we're going to be doing, you need a Theraband for, and we're literally just going to be strengthening that external rotation of your shoulder. So finding like a sturdy pole or something as well is super important for this one. So for this one, what you want to do is you want to hold your arm straight out in front of you neutrally, and then you're going to bring it back into this row-like position, and you're going to make a 90-degree angle with it, and you're going to lift your arm straight up. And you can make this easier or harder by grabbing the Theraband up closer or further away. Really making sure you are maintaining that 90-degree angle with your arm. And then of course doing it on the other side. Up. All right. So the next one that we're going to do is we're going to come down onto the ground, and this one, hopefully you can see it with my t-shirt on, but I'll take it off if you can't. For this one, you're going to want to start with a neutral flat back, and you're going to want to push the ground away and really think about rounding your back, and then you want to drop through your neutral position without doing too much of head movement. And you want to think about dropping your chest, oh gosh, you can't see. You want to think about dropping your chest down to the ground, not arching, but thinking about bringing those scaps together. I think you can actually just see that with this t-shirt on. So you want to round through the back and then drop just that upper back and trying to bring those shoulder blades together. So this is really good for practicing that push through the back and pushing up. Don't worry too much about getting your scaps together. You really want to just focus on that rounding position. And while doing these exercises, it's also important to remember not to let your arms flare out, but bring them in. And externally rotate them, or thinking about that shoulder blades hugging in towards you. So give those scap retractions a try, and then we'll jump on to the next one. All right, next you're going to want to grab a stick. Now for this one, it's actually really good if you can get into a gym and they have just like normal sticks that you can use, that you could also maybe chuck like a tiny little like half a kilo on each end or moving up to 1 kilo. That would make this exercise even better than just using a stick, because that's actually going to help you strengthen your muscles in this exercise. So for this one, you want to lie down on the ground, and you're going to want to hold the stick shoulder width apart. Now for this one, we're actually going to mimic the top part of a handstand. So you want to think about rounding through your back, curling those shoulder blades in or externally rotating your shoulders. And for this one, we're actually going to look and put our head down on the ground. And then you also want to think about pushing your shoulders into the ground. Now, if you are hyperflexible in this position, I really want you to just think about just softly pushing your shoulders into the ground. You don't want to be pushing your shoulders to that hyperflexible position. Now, once you're in that position, you're then going to try and lift the stick up. Now, with hyperflexible shoulders, this might be easy, or maybe you've never tried this before and maybe it's actually really hard. So the whole point of this one is getting your body into that handstand position and then trying to raise the stick above your head without changing your shoulder position. So really thinking about keeping your arms curled in, and then if you can get that little bit of extra weight, that's going to help strengthen your shoulders through this range of motion. So for that one, as you can see, I actually don't get my shoulders very far off the ground. I want you to really make sure that you are not letting your shoulders flare out to the sides, and that you are keeping that correct position throughout your upper body. And then add weight if you can. Yeah. So these next couple exercises are more handstand drills and exercises to help you to gain a bit more control and to limit you from overextending your shoulders, and to gain a bit of body awareness of how far your shoulders should be going. So first one we are going to do is you're going to need a box or a table, in my case, something around your hip height that you're going to put your legs up onto. Yeah, about hip height. So for this one, you're literally going to be putting your feet up on the box, and you are going to be walking your hands out into a plank and then walking them in underneath yourself. So as you can see, when I did that one, I tried to overextend my shoulders to show you what that would look like, and then brought my shoulders and my bum back over on top of myself. So for these exercises, it's really good to practice keeping those shoulders a little bit more closed than you're used to. We're now going to do a very similar exercise to the one we just did, which is wall walks, also focusing on making sure that we are externally rotating our shoulders or curling those shoulder blades in, and making sure we are keeping slightly closed shoulders. So those wall walks will also really help to strengthen your shoulders and also just like walking your body weight up. So the next exercise that we're going to be doing is a kick to handstand with the wall behind us. Now, the only reason why I'm saying to do this time is because quite often when someone has hyperextensive shoulders, when they kick up to handstand, they'll often fall over into a bridge, which quite often doesn't help at all, because trying to keep yourself up and not fall into that bridge is so hard not to do. And I hear you, I see that, it makes it so hard. So that's why I'm going to say that doing a kick to handstand with a wall behind you, just so that you have that to feel where is too far over for you, and you just have that barrier to stop you from going into a bridge. Now, you'll notice when I do these that I'm only kind of like letting my feet, just lightly letting my feet touch the wall, and then I'm bringing them back off the wall into my handstand shape. So I'm really focusing on bringing myself back into the handstand shape, and I'm not relying on the wall to hold my handstand. At the moment, I'm actually developing a beginner handstand e-course, and I'm actually looking for some beta testers at the moment. So I've only got 3 spots, and if you would like to get free access to me starting to build this e-course, and you would like to score some free content that I'm going to be adjusting and working on at the moment, please email me. I will leave my email in the description below. Please only email me if you are actually interested in helping beta test this new course. And those are the exercises and sort of ways of describing what I think helps people with super flexible shoulders. I hope you find this helpful. If you did, please let me know down in the comments. I love hearing when things work for you guys and how your handstand training is going. So do leave a comment down below. And of course, if you did like this video, please give it a like, because it really supports my channel. And hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, and because it really supports my channel with the YouTube algorithm. And of course, the little notification bell, ding-a-ling-ling, if you want to be notified anytime I upload a new video, which is usually once a week on Sundays or Mondays, depending on how I'm going. That's it from me, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Oh, my shoulders. Dying. I don't think I want to do that. Wow, cannot speak. Put words together. What is that?